On the next note, right, Helen for YouFit Studio. I'm talking about the value of time today. Funny that I mentioned time. Not really funny, it was planned. So this kind of does follow on from yesterday, and a little bit along the lines of a lost skill. We're losing skills all over the place. Those listening, like, what you're doing, this is me visually showing you how to lose skills. What I'm observing or have seen, and I think this is a fair description, is that time, right? The perception. Let me get the perception. That's the key word. The perception of time has got severely warped since March. Like, nobody really knows. I joked about it for a long time about where summer's coming or going. However, the perception of time has seemed to have really changed since the beginning of the year, even though some of our life may be going back into some resemblance of routine or change, right? And of course I have a theory of it. Well, let's go through what it looked like. Most of us had like a balance of time at some point. Let's just say February or March. Then what appeared to be a truckload of time landed on us, like, whoa, like that. Again, nobody listening to this can understand what happened there. However, that was me demonstrating time being dumped on you, or the perception of a lot of time, right? Now, the perception of a lot of time is that actually what most people did in the timeline was probably stay out of bed until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and kind of roll out around about 9, which is probably about the time they started work, if they were working from home. So actually, the days felt longer, it was lighter. There seemed like there was acres of time to do everything in life that you've been putting on hold for the last 10 years. That skirting board that needed painting, I had time for that. Got time to do that. That's getting painted. I'm pointing at that one even though it didn't get done. Didn't find time for that. However, most people found something to fill their time with because they had time to fill in their head. Or they didn't, they created time to go and stand at B&Q for how many hours? Or what's the garden centre? Home base? One of those. Or a garden centre. They did find time. Most of us found time to stand in queue to get stuff to improve our environment. We always found time to do that. And then in some stages, I mean, we found time. We definitely found time to do Eat Out to Help Out. We definitely found time for that. Some of us more than others. We found it. We found it. And now this seems to be, suddenly when I'm having conversations, a drought of time. Time has been sucked somewhere, and it's very tricky to define exactly what that might be. It has been, though. It's been like, it just seems to be, I'm doing a lot of visuals today. It's sucked. Just, you know, because I'm back in the rainforest, I feel free. Being in Sam's office, I feel very controlled. Here, it's very black and white zone here. This is all colour, right? So I'm very like, colour. So nice to be back. Sidebar. However, we now seem to, when I'm talking to clients, like, I don't have any time. There's no time. No time at all. Like, literally, the change has gone from acres to none. And of course, I have some theories. Of course. Theory number one is potentially for some people, and anybody watching this can obviously interplay at any point and go, yeah, I agree, or no, I have no idea, or anything else. However, the reality is that because we had in our heads so much time, that we could fill it with all the stuff until we got bored of filling it with the stuff, to be fair. Then we found other stuff to do. However, now, in comparison, when we're being taken back into, slowly being said, kind of like a middle ground between how we were in January, February to where we were in, say, June, is like a weird kind of blending of that, where most people are kind of stuck between two worlds. Hence why I said yesterday about lots of skills like looking after some of the foundation stuff like food preparation had gone out the window because people haven't quite transitioned between one stage of life and another. Hence their perception of time is still warped. It's like there is no time. There's no time, Helen. There's no time for you to get to boot camp. There is no time for me to do my photos. There's no time for me to send the photos to you. I've done them. I've taken the photo. I haven't had time to send them to you. All right. This is really interesting. So one theory is, just a theory, not a fact, theory of mine, opinion, right? That in fact, there's been so much to so little. The contradiction is quite black and white for some people, and also potentially, ironically, it might be kind of grey. Where like, I don't know which way to go. So, second theory, I'm going to sit in the worst case scenario. Now, second theory, worst case scenario. From speaking to a lot of clients, and some of you might get this or not, depending on your own environment, there's almost like a I dread to say it, an imminent incoming of something different to our lives again. And so many people appear to be planning for said worst case scenario. I refuse to say it. However, that means that their worst case scenarios will be kids are going to be at home intermittently, whether I like it or not. So that means I won't have time to do things. So I'm going to get myself in a headspace that I don't have time to do things now. I may have to travel to work on certain days. Nobody's really told me what days yet. So I'm not really sure. I just know I'm going to the office at some point. So if I plan forward, the kids might be home. I might have to travel work. I've definitely got no time. I can't plan too far ahead. There is no time. Or even going to do a food shop. There's people stocking up again. However, there is no time. So it all combines for a worst case scenario where, interestingly, the perception, not the reality, again, key word, the perception is there's no time to actually plan anything in for themselves or ourselves. Just perception. No time. I'm filling it now with other things like sorting the kids out, doing work, everything. All that time that I had for myself, I'm now not even giving myself a little bit to do the things that I know I need, like food prep. Right, this carries on from yesterday, right? But it isn't the only thing. Now, again, a bit like yesterday, I do believe that like food prep, creating time is also a skill. And actually, we've kind of forgotten how to create time. Stick with me on this. This is one of the third theory, more or less. So the third theory, to some degree, of my opinion again, not fact, is that we literally were so used to, in January and February, creating a what's the word? Should find them. I'm on live. An order of importance. That's not the right word I'm looking for. However, the words I've said is that. So it's like a there's a strategy or a skill we used without even thinking about it. Was literally, this is the most important. This is the most important. So basically, we prioritize. That's the word. Prioritized. I knew there was a word I was looking for. Prioritizing different parts of our life, and then we were able to attach realistic timeframes to that. It is a skill that we all did without even thinking, all the time. Well, we did think, obviously, because our brain did it. However, it was so instant that it didn't really take a huge amount of time to create space to do something, even if it was 5 minutes, even to send photos, right? To remember to send some photos to the coach. Now, because we didn't have to create time for a long time, because that control was taken away from us, now it's almost like, hey guys, you're in the middle of two worlds here. This is like world at home, world at work or at school, etc. You're straddling between both worlds, and actually the skill to be able to create time between two is a little bit slow in coming. Now, like any skill, practice makes perfect. You knew how I was coming, right? So I'm not. The thing is that hopefully by listening to this or watching this, some of you better go, oh, okay, actually that makes sense. Now I understand. Now it's more conscious. I've got to start looking at my time and what I'm spending doing what and where, because there is a huge amount of it is still in your control. Now, that being said, when I said perception, it's entirely that. A perception is not, in my experience, a fact. And this is, I want to say this is old school. This is like an OG way of doing time management with the client. God only knows, I think this is something I did way back in 2016 or something. However, it still works, and it is still a very useful, it's a very useful thing to do. And I invite you, if you are someone struggling with time and perception of creating time or how much time you have, I invite you to actually write down your day. Actually write a timeline of an individual day where you think, oh, I won't ask you to do the week because that can get like much. Take a day and actually start to plan out what you're doing from start to end. Actually get a visual overview of what your actual day looks like. Because so many people go, oh, I've got this to do. Oh my God, there's so much to do. I'm overwhelmed of how much I've got to do. It's overwhelming. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Actually, if you sit and do an exercise as a coach with a client and say, right, first thing to do, just dump everything down in your brain, what we've got to do. Let's just get the day out in front of you. Where do you do it? What time do you do it? How long does it take? All of it. And then, sure as anything, ever, I have never done that exercise with a client in person or otherwise over Tinterweb where they haven't looked at it and gone, oh, because probably 8 times out of 10, a client will always find and create time to watch Netflix or EastEnders or something, right? So there's always time in there that is not necessarily active time. There is, I like to call it dead time. Just do. So often in all our days, there is actually dead time where we're not actually doing something. We perceive that we are. We perceive that we're busy the entire day. We perceive there is no time. Actually, if you really take a step back, actually sit and like writing out seems to really help. You can do all kinds of visual things. However, writing out seems to help all of us because you can literally see it and say, oh, I see that now, right? I can see where there is actually time for me to do something. It's not ideal, however, there is time. Like here are times in the week where I can do certain things, or here's time in the day which is actually mine for me to even plan. I could even sit down in that time and plan what I'm going to do for the rest of the week, right? The perception is not the reality. I say 8 times out of 10 because there are those couple of people out there who are literally manic. However, even those people always find something, even like a crack. There is always something. So you've got to see what's real against what you perceive to be the case when it comes to your time. And also, when I say value, right, the value is that our value of time has changed, right? Really, this is the other element to slide all into this one, is that, yeah, we perceive time has changed. Time has definitely warped since the beginning of the year. How we view it. Also, the value of it has massively changed. So where you place your value into your time right now, when you see that write out, was very, very interesting. I'd be love to have been able to do this with a client before and after this year, just to see where they would have prioritised their value of time, because any time they've got, they perceive they're barreling it into the most valuable thing right now, because it's no longer the skirting board or the garden, because that's done, to be fair. That was what was valuable at the time. With your time, with all our times, was to do that, like, yay, do that. Now there's a different set of values for your time, and this is we've all got to kind of work on to work out, actually, this is what's valuable to me now. I might not have asked or wanted time in this for my life previously, now I do, right? But you've got to ask yourself, what's the priority? Is there time? And what value are you placing it, and who are you placing it with, right? Huge thing to know, because then you can do your food prep. Linking 2 lives together, just food prep, people, please. Again, no, I understand it's the same summation from yesterday to some degree. It comes down to a lost skill because we're straddled between 2 worlds, 2 ways of living. No, we're not here or there. We're kind of here, there, not everywhere. Unless you mean I'm over here or there. So let's recap. I said since March, definitely perception of time has been so warped. What is actually happening with time? How much time do we actually have? We seem to have a balance of time. Then we had absolutely tons of time to do whatever we wanted to some degree. And now we've gone back to an extreme from even the beginning of the year, where no one perceives they've got any time. It's like no time to do anything. I'm so busy, got no time, right? Our memory of time and how we used to use it is definitely changed from the beginning of the year. Definitely. Let's go to any client. I think every single client has got a different way of spending their time now. So why? I went through some of my theories down to it being kind of one extreme to another, and we're still trying to find our footing between actually where do I want to place my time and value, etc. That we're planning for the worst case scenario in some cases. Some clients are like, no, I don't want to plan anything because I don't want to get ahead in my head about what I'm doing, because I'm just waiting in case, just in case. However, just in case means that nothing's really happening in terms of time, and no kind of planning for themselves, etc. And certainly, I would say we have definitely lost the skill of creating time. We've lost the skill because we've been out of practice for so long, because we're between two worlds. And it means probably we need to learn two sets of skills to create time in one world. That might be the office or dealing with the kids at home, and then actually at home or our own